One day I was thinking, what if Nike hired me to make their next ad? But the caveat is, I have no budget and I have no location. Well, I had a pretty good idea that could possibly compensate for those constraints. I made this wild ad with just my camera, a few objects around the house, and a little help from AI. And today we are going to be recreating this ad. But first, a little more context. Nike, a titan of athletics, a king of sneaker culture, a master of marketing. If I was going to make an ad inspired by them, it had to be bold, it had to be epic, and it had to be outside of the box. Or better yet, a flying one. It's going to get crazy, stay tuned. So here's the deal. I wanted to sit on a giant Nike shoebox. Like it had to be a massive shoebox. Like taking over the world size big. But the plot twist is, I don't just have a giant Nike shoebox laying around the house. So the logical next step was to find some object around the house that I could use as a substitute while filming. And then I'll swap out that box during the editing process. So I started by filming myself sitting on a couple of storage bins. And I placed a green sheet over the storage bins as well. I thought it would be easier to replace the bins later on. So after I filmed that, I went to a site called FreePic, and they have a tool that allows you to retouch photos. So you can replace elements of a photo pretty easily. I uploaded my image, highlighted the areas of the image that I wanted to replace, and then I added a prompt of an orange Nike shoebox, and then I let the AI do its magic. And here's what we got. I then used the same image I just created, and then I removed the shoebox, leaving only the background. And the reason that I did that is because myself and the shoebox will be zooming out of the scene later on in the ad. So I'm essentially setting myself up for success later on in the ad by separating these elements into their own layers. So then I masked myself out of the original clip. And then I also masked out the Nike shoebox. And then I brought them back into the background clip. And next up, we're blowing up a shoe. Why? Because why not? The idea is to have the shoe appear. The shoe breaks into pieces, dust appears, and the shoe explodes. And to make this portion happen, I added a picture of my shoe. I then masked out the shoe into 3 pieces. I added some keyframes with the direction of the pieces going in different directions off the screen. And then I also added a zoom effect just to make it a more realistic effect. And then I also added some motion blur as well. And the explosion effect was an overlay that came from YouTube. I found a commercial use clip, screen recorded the portion that I wanted to use, and then brought that into Final Cut Pro and removed the background. And that's how I got the white dust to appear after the shoe explosion. Side note for this next part, for a pinpoint character accuracy, FreePic has a feature that allows you to train a character that you can reuse in several different scenarios. And it's pretty simple. You can upload 12 to 24 images of yourself, and then FreePic's AI then will train a character that you can use in several different prompts, several different situations. You can create different types of videos of yourself using that trained character. And that's what I did for this next portion. I haven't tried it without training the character, so if you want that pinpoint accuracy of yourself, that may be a step that you want to try. So for this next scene, after the shoe explodes, I wanted to get pulled into the sky because obviously that's what happened when shoes detonate. This process was a continuation of the second scene. I wanted the effect to look as real as possible as the explosion is happening. I'm pulled into the sky as well as the shoebox. And to make all of this happen, I imported a still frame of me sitting on the shoebox into FreePix's video tool. This was the same effect that we used in the previous step, and this is what it came up with. It worked out pretty well. And now that I was airborne, I needed to keep flying. But how was I going to pull something like that off? Well, the solution was much more simple than the problem sounds. In this fourth scene, I just repeated the process I just did in the third scene. I imported the same still image of me sitting on the shoebox, and this is what I came away with. For this next scene, I then got a little more ambitious. I wanted the first person point of view flying through the sky. So I wanted to be in first person, look down and see the earth below my feet. So to make this happen, I filmed some clips of myself sitting on those storage bins with my feet dangling in the air. I then masked out my feet and went to Artlist, which is a service that I pay for that provides high quality stock footage. And I just found a clip of drone footage flying above the earth. I selected that, brought it into Final Cut Pro, and overlaid my masked feet on top of that clip. I then sped the clip up a little bit to make it look like the flying was going at a pretty high speed, and then it was as simple as that. For this next part, it gets even more crazy. So I filmed one long take of myself standing in various parts of the screen, and then I chopped that into a bunch of mini clips. I masked myself out of each clip, and then I stacked all those clips together to make it look like a crowd of mini-me's. I then overlaid another clip of myself looking down on all of the tiny versions of myself. And I don't even know what to call this clip, but I just liked the way it looked and I went with it. So for this next scene, to send this ad off with a bang, I went back to FreePic. I didn't use any reference images this time, and I just simply used this prompt. Orange Nike shoebox launching into the sky as a rocket. No reference images, no help to the AI at all. Simply a text prompt. And this is what it came away with. And I felt like this clip perfectly sealed the deal. It brought the whole ad together and made for the perfect outro. I also added the kind of explosion logo in the sky as well as the final part of that scene. So I threw everything together into Final Cut Pro, layered in the sound design, and somehow it all came together. I will say the addition of sound effects made this ad even better. So I would suggest adding that into your plan if you plan on doing something like this. Would Nike ever actually run an ad like this? Probably not. Was it ridiculously fun to make? Absolutely. That pretty much wraps things up. I think that should be enough to get you started. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, this new style of tutorial I'm trying out. Make sure to subscribe to my channel, follow me on Threads, and I will catch you all in the next video. Have a good one.